everybody? Gotta start the show, of course, episode 76. Going strong. We're not stopping until we hit at least episode 100. And then after that, we're going a little bit more. Let's go ahead and switch over. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us here on Boxing Fanatico Live. We gotta start it off with the man, the myth, the legend, Hashim47. That's right, Hashim47. Thank you so much for showing up to these live streams. You are so appreciated here on Boxing Fanatico. We love you. Keep on coming over here, because when you're not here, we miss you. When you're not here, we miss you, although you've been on in all the live streams, which is actually pretty impressive. Thank you so much, brother. And we got to start off the show with Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's get ready to rumble. Hold on. Adrian Dones, salute Fanatico, salute chat. What's going on, Adrian Dones? I see you change your profile picture. Anthony Murchison, what's up, brother? How you doing? How you doing, brother? I miss all you guys, man. I miss all you guys. Whenever I'm not live, it's a little bit annoying. I'll be dying to go live sometimes. I hate when sometimes I can't go live for whatever reason. But you already know, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., that's when we go live. All right, so we got to talk about something because there's so much spillover that's been happening since Shakur Stevenson's performance against Edwin De Los Santos. Now, one thing that has definitely happened is that Shakur Stevenson has not stopped talking on social media. I mean, he has not stopped. He's on Twitter 24/7, working overtime on Twitter, talking, going back and forth with different fighters. Most notably, though, the one that's getting the most attention in terms of his back and forth is him and Ryan Garcia. So Ryan Garcia posted something about, how Shakur's performance was boring and he was running. And they started going in a little bit of a back and forth. And, Ryan Garcia said, hey, listen, buddy, I made more money than you made or something in my fight with Tank. And I broke records, financial records or whatever. And you broke records for landing the least amount of punches. So we are not the same, basically. And then Shakur Stevenson kind of firing back twice, I think, and stating something to the effect of, well, I'm a 3-division world champion. You've not ever won a title. So, you care so much about money, but I'm actually building a legacy. Meanwhile, you're just doing all this stuff and becoming famous on social media or whatever. So my question to you guys about this is, should Shakur Stevenson get off of social media? Should he get off of Twitter? That's a question. I want to know what you guys have to say. Should Shakur Stevenson get off of Twitter? Now, I don't know why this is not populating the why is this not populating over here? All right, it's Mega. I see you, brother, on this side, trying to get it to populate on this side, though. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get this to work. Let's go ahead and kill that. See if we can open it up here. Not yet. See if we can get the restore chat. See if we could do pop-up chat right quick. Okay. Let's see. There we go. All right. We got it. It's Mega right in the house. ASAP TV. He needs to lock excuse my language. He needs to lock. Okay. All right. Anthony Murchison. Yeah. Just let his fist talk and don't Twitter fingers and don't do Twitter fingers. Okay. Well, one thing is that's part of the narrative that people have against Shakur Stevenson. 100% people love to say, this is all he does, right? This is what he does the best. He talks on Twitter. But I would say this, why not, since he's already considered not humble, He's already considered the guy that talks too much trash. David Morales, what's going on? What's good? Yeah, he needs to chill and just focus on healing his hand. If his hand was even hurt, if David Morales, which I personally didn't buy, but I'm not him, right? So I don't know for sure. But I think he should just lean into being a full-blown villain. I think he's been 1 foot in and 1 foot out in terms of being a villain. Just be a full-blown villain. And now, and this, you can't, this is one thing that I need to also kind of make sure that I separate for you guys. You can't be the villain that Floyd Mayweather was before Twitter was a thing. You can't do that. Like, people want him to be exactly like Mayweather or nothing like Mayweather. You either are exactly like him or you're nothing like him. That's the world that we live in, the black and white. You're either like him or you're not like him. But the truth is, sometimes, and I see what you just said right there, Anthony Richardson, but more hate could bring viewers because people will pay to watch him lose. Exactly. You ever heard the saying that bad publicity, good publicity is all good publicity? Because no matter if they're there to pay to see you win or they're there to pay to see you lose, they're still paying to see you. You can motivate somebody to watch your fights, to go to your fights off of sheer hate. That is literally the strategy that Floyd Mayweather and Muhammad Ali employed. That is their strategy. And in this digital age, this is the way you do it. You do it through Twitter, where you're constantly communicating with the viewers. You're constantly communicating with fans at all times. You're having conversations in front of the fans at all times. You do it via Twitter because we're in a different world. We're in a different age. It's not just when the cameras are on, you start talking trash, and then that's how you become a villain, like what Floyd Mayweather did. No, people hated Floyd. They hated Floyd. Now I'm going to ask you guys this question. After this performance that Shakur Stevenson just had with Edwin De Los Santos, do you think that he's going to have less views in his next fight? A real question. Do you guys think that this will drop his viewership for his next fight because it was such a poor performance? Because it was historically low, according to CompuBox numbers. Do you think that this will have an impact, a negative impact, on his next fight? I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. Nah, that Twitter is a promotional tool. Hey, man, I'm telling you. Yeah, I forgot the quotations. My man said I forgot the quote. What you mean you forgot the quotations? Oh, for the hands. But the more hate could bring viewers. Yes. We just talked about it. I said that months ago. He should just embrace that villain role. But at the last fight, I'm not sure. Definitely need to make some changes, though. Okay, but I just want to know. Do you think it's gonna go up, or do you think it's gonna go down? And probably a dip since it was on a pretty big slot this time. Okay. Depends on who he's fighting. Honestly, the casuals might not watch. Okay. Well, one thing that we could definitely use is historical information. Because according to most people, and remember, I don't care if it is stat for stat the exact same situation. We're not looking for stat for stat. We're looking for how it made the public feel, because people buy and watch things and get motivated not by individual stats, not by high-level stats or any of that stuff. They get motivated by how they actually feel. They're feeling coming out of that performance, coming out of a fight. When Shakur Stevenson went up against Nakatila, he was chastised for that fight. In a very similar fashion to what is happening now, was basically what was happening to Shakur Stevenson during the post of that fight with Nakatila. And the fight with Nakatila generated 857,000 average viewers. What was Shakur Stevenson's next fight after the Nakatila fight? His next fight was with Jamel Herring for the world title. Now, Jamel Herring was not a household name. He was not something that crosses into the casual fan market. You're still roughly working with the in-house, die-hard kind of fandom. You're still working with that in-house fandom. But guess what the numbers were when he fought Jamel Herring after having a horrible performance and not even being protected or bigged up by ESPN. In that performance with Nakatila, not only was social media, going at him because of that, the commentators was also going at him because of that performance. Other than Andre Ward, he was a little bit more neutral. But Timothy Bradley was literally letting him have it during the Nakatila fight and after the Nakatila fight and saying it was super boring. It was a worse kind of like conversation coming from the telecast team in the Nakatila fight, but social media was still very similar to what was happening here. So his fight with Jamel Herring averaged 1.3 million. 1.3 million views. So he went from a Nakatila fight of 857,000 views average to a Jamel Herring fight of 1.3 or 1.4. It was 1,353,000 viewers on average, peaking at 1,440,000. So he went up from a horrible, boring, I went to sleep performance. He went up. He went up almost double in comparison to his fight with Nakatila. Now, how does that happen? Can anybody explain to me how does that happen? And then after that fight, he averaged 1.17 million with the Oscar Valdez fight. With Conseca, he averaged 1,097,000 with the Conseca fight. So he's been roughly above the 1 million mark in terms of average viewers. But he did this after his Nakatila fight. How does that happen? Somebody got to tell me. Somebody got to tell me. How does that happen? Let me see how I pull this up. See what you guys are talking about over here. We got Love C Shorty with the $2 super chat talking about listening from the shadows. Oh, man, we love it. Hold on. Let me give him the $2 super chat video. Thank you for showing up, brother. And thank you for the $2 super chat. It will appear over here somewhere at some point too, because I also have an alert box that comes up when you guys do this. So we'll see it soon pop up over here. I think it might be harder for him to sell now, but a lot easier to get fights now. You guys don't want to fight until they see weakness. I think it's going to be hard. I think it's flipped, ASAP TV. I think he's going to get viewership, but I think that it's going to be harder because they're going to use this as ammo to say that they don't have to fight him. This is perfect to be like, why am I going to fight you? You're boring. You're just going to run all day, and I don't got time for that. They have that arsenal to say they don't got time for all the running. Anthony Murchison, I think if he was to fight someone like Tank, it would be bigger than the Garcia fight because people would want to see him go to sleep. All right, exactly. Okay. Opponent dependent too, LOL. But yeah, if he is there with Navarrete, top rank promoted, it should be people will tune in to see him get knocked out. But that's my point. I think the Herring fight was also when you first start to see him use the villain antics. Yeah, but people were like cringing at him being a villain because he was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out villain. He was kind of doing it, but not really doing it. And people were like, yo, this is not a good look for you, man. It's like people want to be marketing experts, but they don't really see the numbers. If that's not really a good look for him, if he's doing all that and it's not working, then why is it making more money? Why is he getting more views after a horrible performance? After a horrible performance. Remember, the same sentiment People are still in here saying, yo, he did this in the Nakatila fight. He always does this. So then why in the Nakatila fight, he did 870,000 views average, and then in the Jamel Herring, he did 1.3, 1.4 million views average? How does that happen? That's all I'm asking. How does that happen? You saw Frank Martin call Shakur fool, but he backed out of the fight. Yeah, he's fooled, but you don't want to fight him. He's fooled, but you don't want to fight him. What's good, Jumpman? What's going on? Why Ryan talk crazy when we all know he not beating Shakur? That's definitely one of those things where it's like, listen, man. One thing I will say is that Shakur needs to just leave 135. Leave it. Just leave 135. Forget 135. If you're waiting around for a Tank fight, that's not going to happen right now. Get out of 135, go to 140, and call all these guys bluff. Or Ryan Garcia talking to you, talking crazy, call him out. Call him out. Say, yeah, you know what? I'm 3 division. I don't need to be undisputed at 135. I'm going to try to be undisputed at 140. Go to 140. Is lit. Teofimo, Regis Prograis, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Josh Taylor. And we know that Tank can fight at 140. He fought at 140 before. We seen him fight at 140. So he could go up to 140 and y'all could fight. It's possible. So I would say to Shakur Stevenson is definitely just go to 140. You got your WBC belt. Use it as leverage to get a fight with whoever's the WBC champion, right? Just, hold off, hold the belt, see if you can use it as leverage if you move up to mandate for whoever wins between Regis Prograis and Devin Haney. I believe it's going to be Devin Haney. If it's Devin Haney and Devin Haney moves up to 147 and vacates the belt to not fight you, then that's going to look real jarring to the public. Devin Haney fans will still try to find a way to spin it because obviously, like I just said in my video, which is doing really good, by the way. Thank you so much, guys, for the support on this video that I recently dropped on Shakur Stevenson. But the community just gaslights, so they're going to find a way to gaslight into, because no one, if your team this and your hardline team that, you're never going to be able to be open-minded to give criticism in any way, shape, or form. You're always going to be team this person like they're part of your family member when they're really not. But either way, if he moves up to 140 and Devin Haney just won the belt and then drops it and moves up to 147 because he's being mandated to fight Shakur Stevenson, then that's going to be very, very, very telling. That's going to be very, very telling. Let me go up here, make sure this comes down. All right, let's see here. ASAP TV, somebody said Ryan just learned how to keep his hands up. Better leave Shakur Stevenson alone. All right, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, he should go to 140 and put a mandatory on Devin so he won't run away. We needed that in 2024. Exactly. If he's now the WBC champion, right? He's now the WBC champion. So he could go up and he could have leverage to move up into the next division. Fight. He probably got to fight, one person, and then he could become mandatory for a Devin Haney or a Regis Prograis, whoever wins, right? I'm expecting it to be Devin Haney, but Regis Prograis could theoretically win because he's in the fight, but I don't think that will happen. There is nothing beneficial for Shakur Stevenson to stay at 135. Nothing. I agree. He need to move up and activate that mandatory for WBC. Could you try? I hate when my watch does it. I agree. This will add to the reason for Tank and Haney not to fight him. For Tank, they will be in some. You're not worth my time. You are boring. Yeah, I'm telling you, Chill Will. What's gonna happen is his viewership is gonna go up. His viewership is gonna go up. You know why? Because hate is sometimes more powerful than positive fandom. Hate fandom is sometimes more powerful because they just want to see you lose so bad. That's what happened with Floyd Mayweather. He was a superstar because people wanted to see him lose so bad. And whatever, and even though people want to say, oh, don't ever compare him to Floyd Mayweather, there's comparisons there, because when people want to kind of like, they want something to hang their hat on, to be like, oh, I hate him so bad, I wish I could say something negative about him. They gravitated to everything. How many videos have we had about Jose Luis Castillo actually beat Floyd Mayweather? How many videos have we seen about Manny Pacquiao actually won the fight? Or Oscar De La Hoya actually won the fight? Or Floyd Mayweather looked horrible against Maidana. Maidana actually won the fight. Because since Floyd never lost, that's the only thing they can hang their hats on. And that, to be able to energize that, you have to be a villain. You have to be a villain, and not 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Don't do stuff that's gonna get you canceled. Don't do stuff that's gonna get you canceled. That's the double-edged sword of the internet. Be a villain, but find a way to do it where you just keep talking trash. Really, as much as people are like, oh, hopefully this shuts him up, he should talk more now. Because then they're going to be like, oh, he never learns his lesson. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I want to see him knocked out so bad. Where's his next fight? Oh, he better not lose. Let me tune in. Can't wait. Let me hit record just in case I get a moment. He stumbles or something, we putting that up there. We putting a meme up. Right? That's where he's at right now. He should just full 100% embrace it. Fully embrace it. Be the villain that Floyd Mayweather was, but be the villain in the digital age where it's done through Twitter. Because he's building that reputation. Anybody who is enamored with the PBC absolutely hates Shakur Stevenson. They hate Shakur Stevenson. So all he has to do is keep poking that bear. Keep poking that bear. Say all the things that you would assume somebody that's from the PBC would not want to hear. Keep poking that bear. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't say something good about Errol Spence Jr. If you have an opportunity, say something bad about Errol Spence Jr. just because you know it's going to poke that bear. It's just going to poke that bear. And keep poking that bear, and then keep talking trash, and keep bigging yourself up on social media, saying you the best. Say stuff like, oh, I beat him with one hand, even though I don't think you had one hand. I think you just chose not to use the other hand. But just say that, because who cares, right? It's all about making them hate you. Learn from the WWE. Like, the more you could just dig at them, the more they're going to come to see you finally lose. And then over time, when the dust is settled and the dust is clear, you're just going to have fans that were just, that are just truly your fans, because you've transformed some of them into your fans over time, which is what happened with Floyd. With Floyd, I was always a fan of Floyd in a positive way. But everyone I knew, minus like 2 or 3 people, hated Floyd. But they watched all his fights rooting for the other guy. It didn't matter who he fought. If he fought Victor Ortiz, they're watching, rooting for Victor Ortiz. If he fights Robert the Ghost Guerrero, they're watching, rooting for Robert the Ghost Guerrero. If he fighting Maidana, they watching, rooting for Maidana. They became fans of everybody he ever fought against, and they watched that fight. That is the reason why he could fight Nakatila, and no matter how much people are going to try to trick you to believe that he's not going to do good views next because of this fight, he's probably going to have better viewership in the next fight. He's probably going to have better viewership. And if he talks trash and keeps on talking trash, he's going to have even more viewership in the next fight. Because people are going to watch to see him lose. They're going to watch to see him lose. And if he ends up fighting any of the Teofimos, the Ryan Garcias, the Devin Haney's, the Tank Davises, they're going to watch. They're not going to watch because he had a boring fight. They're going to watch. I'm sure that casuals didn't know who Jamel Herring was. But after the Nakatila fight, you would think that logically nobody would watch the Jamel Herring fight. But since the Nakatila fight, he's only done over 1 million views average. Since the Nakatila fight. I'm talking about the Nakatila fight was not 1 million views average. He had that fight, which was a horrible fight. And then the next fight, it was over 1 million. And people are going to let you believe that, oh, he just ruined it. There's no point. Nobody want to see him. It doesn't matter why you want to see him. Because people used to say that about Floyd too. I remember all the boxing forums. I used to be in all them joints. I remember people would argue with me saying the only reason Floyd got all these views is because people hate him. They actually, he doesn't have fans like Manny Pacquiao. When Manny Pacquiao fights, they come to see Manny. When Floyd fight, they come to see the other guy beat him. And I'm like, so what? So what? You're paying to see him win. You're paying to see him lose. What the great Muhammad Ali said, you're still paying. It doesn't matter. All right, let me go to the chat real quick. I'm ranting a little bit too long. Hold on. Let me go to the chat. Once he moves up, everyone going to 147. If everyone goes to 147, then there's a problem, bro. If he moves up to 140, I would say for him to just move up to 140. Just do it. If he couldn't make weight against Robson Fonseca for 130. So clearly he was pushing it a little bit at 130. He went to 135. That means you could squeeze it up a little bit more. You could squeeze it up a little bit more and get to 140. You could do it. I don't understand how these guys got so much to say but won't fight him. Listen, man, I don't know, man. Truth. Floyd Mayweather is the GOAT. He one of the GOATs for real. As soon as Shakur moves up, that same day, Haney has been struggling to make the moment he goes up to 140, Haney's been struggling to make 140, and now he gonna have to move up to 147, man. That's just, it is what it is, man. That's what they got to do. Well, if he go up to 147, I think if Crawford doesn't, well, actually, he would have to fight like a Boots Ennis. Can you imagine Devin Haney versus Boots Ennis? Because he would have to literally run so far away from Shakur that he's putting himself in danger of fighting people like a Boots Ennis, like all those guys, right? So I don't know. That'd be pretty dangerous in my opinion. Will Tekken ever come out on consoles? Tekken is out on consoles, or is releasing on consoles. I don't even know what you're talking about. And if you're trying to use Tekken as code, I'm not talking about Undisputed. We can't talk about that here. You already know that, King of 47. You already know that. LOL, nah. They not going to 47. Boots is lurking. That's the thing. It's a good gridlock, right? It's a really good gridlock for Shakur Stevenson. If he moves up to 140, how far can Devin Haney really go? You might gridlock him where he's like, okay, it's between me going to 147 where I'm not even comfortable at that weight, or me staying here at 140 and fighting Shakur Stevenson. And if Shakur Stevenson puts a mandatory on him, there's nothing he can do. And it would be crazy if he just doesn't fight Shakur Stevenson and loses the title off of the mandatory, and then Devin Haney fights somebody else at 147 without being a champion. The optics of that would just be insane. It would be insane. If he moves up, Devin's dad is going to say, let's get the hell out of here. But where would they go? Anthony Murchison, where would they go? Are they going to go to 147 to be in the crosshairs of a Boots Ennis? That's going to be too high. Haney goes to 154. Then he going to be in the crosshairs of Errol Spence Jr., Tim Tszyu, and Terrence Crawford. This is why it's a gridlock if Shakur Stevenson moves up to 140, because there's no escape. You're either going to fight somebody that has skills and is your size, or you're gonna fight somebody that has skills and it's not and it's way bigger than you? Which one are you picking? I think that this is a really good strategy for Shakur because 140 is lit. 135, unfortunately, by the time he got there, well, once he got there, it became dry. 135 is dry right now. You don't got Ryan. You don't got Teofimo. You don't got Devin Haney. The only person you got is Lomachenko, and he's clearly told you he doesn't want to fight. William Zepeda doesn't want to fight. Isaac Cruz, they don't want to fight. I think Ryan would fight him if he went to 140. You think so? Because it didn't look like Ryan wanted to fight Devin Haney when he was campaigning to fight Tank. But it made sense. I mean, Tank is a much better. You fight Tank, it's like back in the days, or even now, if you get an opportunity to fight Canelo, it doesn't matter who's the other person. You're gonna want to fight Canelo because that's a big payout. You'll be financially irresponsible not to fight Canelo as a boxer if being given that opportunity. That's like winning the lottery. That's a sweepstakes. That's why Floyd Mayweather, when he used to pick people, he used to say, oh, well, Miguel Cotto won the Floyd Mayweather sweepstakes. Maidana won the Floyd Mayweather sweepstakes. Because you're going to get paid if you fight Floyd Mayweather. You're going to get paid. And Floyd got to a point where at one point he could almost fight anybody and casual fans will still watch it and just learn about that person to root for him against Floyd Mayweather, especially if it was like Spanish, whatever. They wanted to see that dichotomy between an African-American versus a Spanish fighter. So Floyd knew how to play the game, and he wore that villain hat in the way that you could wear it back in early 2000s. He wore it in the way that you could wear it back in the early to mid 2000s. Shakur Stevenson needs to wear that hat. I think what Shakur Stevenson is doing is the PC stuff where he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. He needs to poke the bear 24. He needs to identify who doesn't like him and poke the bear the entire time. And trust me, no matter what they tell you, I'll never watch a Shakur Stevenson fight ever. They're going to watch a Shakur Stevenson fight. They're going to watch a Shakur Stevenson fight. They will. No matter if they come in here in the chat and say, no, he tanked his career. He ain't tanked his career. Because they said he tanked his career and they were joking on him and making memes and stuff after Nakatila. And then he fought a Jamel Herring, which no one knew who Jamel Herring was in terms of the casual market. Jamel Herring is not moving the needle. He fights a Jamel Herring and gets 1.3, 1.4 million average viewers as opposed to 850,000 average viewers. From a bad performance, from a performance that gave the same feeling as this performance. And again, I don't care about you extrapolating the exact details of the data that came from CompuBox. Feelings is what matters. People are just basing how they felt about the fight. Even if people don't want to compare the fight with Carlos Baldomir, when Floyd Mayweather fought Carlos Baldomir, the feeling was the same. People felt bored. People felt like he didn't go in there to knock him out. So it was boring. In comparison to fights from the past during that time frame, that fight was easily considered to a lot of people a non-eventful fight. Because back then, we were getting Juan Manuel Marquez's brother. I forgot his name. Rafael Marquez against Israel Vasquez, right? We were getting the trilogy, the fourth fight between them. There was so much action fights back then, right? We even had, I forget these guys' names because they were kind of like one-offs. There were a lot of trilogies happening back then. There was a lot of trilogies during that time. Action fights and knockouts. That was the only strategy to having a good pay-per-view during that era. It was Floyd who changed the whole thing to being like, oh, well, what if I am a trash talker. You don't like me. I've never lost, and you want to just see me lose. That was Floyd's strategy that he navigated. But I remember in that fight with Carlos Baldomir, they were like, "Oh man, he putting us to sleep. I'm going to sleep. I'm doing this, sleep." And Larry Merchant saying, "Oh, this dude is never gonna make more money than Oscar De La Hoya. He will never sell millions of pay-per-views." And what did Floyd end up doing? Because he embraced that, but he also innovated a new strategy for pay-per-view. So you can't even really blame Larry Merchant at the time, because in his mind, he thought that you had to be an action-packed fighter. But in reality, there's a different path. You don't got to be an action-packed fighter. You just got to be a fighter that people hate so much, which Floyd didn't even create this strategy. Muhammad Ali did this, but people don't think about that because over time, they remember you positively. At the moment, you were like, people had a negative thought about who you were, but over time, they remember you positively. Floyd is being remembered positively, although there's still stragglers out there. But over time, 20, 30, 40 years from now, Floyd is going to be remembered positively. You're already seeing it. You're already seeing it. Where it's swinging slightly, like before it was like so much like negativity. Now you can see that it's swinging closer to the center, and it's swinging even more towards being favorable to Floyd Mayweather, because over time, especially when people are comparing new fighters and there's so much passion against new fighters, they start to elevate older fighters. That's how it happens. They'll be like, don't ever compare this guy to Floyd. Floyd did this, and this. And then people would be like, well, my new energy is to be against this fighter. So I have to pick something. And if I equate the two, then I'm giving this fighter something positive. So I'm going to cut my losses with talking trash about Floyd and be like, oh, you know what? Yeah. Floyd did do this and did do that good. He's nothing like this. Shakur is nothing like Floyd Mayweather. And then over time, because of the passion of not liking the current fighters or having passion against a current fighter or for a current fighter, because they have to create arguments against them, they start to praise the fighters of the past. And then the pendulum starts swinging in a positive direction. And then basically at one point, it's just going to be, the person's going to be remembered in a positive way. Like Floyd Mayweather, like Muhammad Ali. It's impossible to find somebody who doesn't like Muhammad Ali. In this day and age, it is impossible to find somebody who doesn't like Muhammad Ali. Every single person likes Muhammad Ali. You might have one or two people trying to go against the grain, but every single person likes Muhammad Ali. But at the time, people were paying to see him lose. They were through the moon. They went over the moon when he got knocked out by Joe Frazier. People were paying to see Muhammad Ali lose. And that's what they were doing with Floyd Mayweather. That's what they were doing with Floyd Mayweather. And you can't compare things like perfectly, detail for detail, punch for punch, uppercut for uppercut. You can't do that. It's the way people feel that matters. Because I'm seeing right here, Angry Casual Fan, I dare Shakur to do the rope-a-dope. He's insinuating. What's he insinuating? Muhammad Ali did the rope-a-dope. That's brave. And it is brave. But you can't compare that, because either way, he did the rope-a-dope, didn't do the rope-a-dope, whatever. For a good chunk of his career, people didn't like him. For a good chunk of Floyd Mayweather's career, people didn't like him. If Shakur Stevenson leans in to still being, trash talking, even the way Ryan Garcia is talking about Shakur Stevenson is not so different from how Ryan Garcia would talk about Floyd Mayweather. He talked about him in the same vein. Oh, Floyd is arrogant. He need to humble himself. Ryan Garcia's favorite fighter was Manny Pacquiao, which means he ain't like Floyd Mayweather. Usually when your favorite fighter was Manny Pacquiao, it tends to mean that you don't like the Floyd Mayweather. And a lot of times when your favorite fighter was Floyd Mayweather, it tends to mean that you don't like Manny Pacquiao. Not all the time. Sometimes there's unbiased people that exist out there, but for the most part, if you really like Floyd, you didn't like Manny, and if you really like Manny, you didn't like Floyd. So Ryan is now seeing Shakur Stevenson in that same light. He was being interviewed recently, and he's like, "Oh, he's not humble. He's arrogant. He was calling me over when we told him to come over." Lean into that. Shakur needs to lean into that fully. Be that villain that people want to see. Fight Nakatila and then start talking trash to Jamel Herring, and then get hold on, I just came off of the stream right here. Okay. And then go from 850,000 to 1.3 or 1.4 million average views. Haney can just pull a Canelo and call him a horrible fighter, payday. You want payday, just follow the Canelo duck print. Is Canelo going to fight Benavidez? If Canelo fights Benavidez, then I would say that he's not ducking, because there will literally be no one left for him to fight. He would have fought Gennady Golovkin already 3 times, right? So, if he fights Benavidez, then he's not ducking. If Benavidez beats Demetrius Boo Boo Andre, then he technically doesn't have to fight Andre. He doesn't have to. He can, but he doesn't have to, because this is kind of like you're fighting the person that beat him. Sometimes people do fight the person that beat him and the person that lost, but he doesn't technically have to do it. I think that if he fights Benavidez, he basically has fought everyone. He doesn't have to fight anyone else, essentially. Would I love for him to fight? If Andre wins, he better fight him. He better fight. Would I love for him to fight Terrence Crawford? Absolutely. Then we're going to have a nightmare. He can't run till 47 because Boots is smelling blood, so he has no choice but to face Shakur in the ring. He has no choice but to face Shakur, or if he wins the WBC belt, which is crazy because he's fighting for the WBC belt, which is literally the only belt that Shakur Stevenson can go up to 140, have a fight, and then mandate for that belt, because he was WBC at 135. Had he fought Teofimo for the WBA belt or the WBO belt, he wouldn't have been able to get a Devin Haney to fight him. He would have to go through the rankings and do all these different things. He wouldn't be able to get that fight. But because Devin Haney's actually fighting for the WBC title, if Shakur Stevenson moves up, there it is. And also, Devin Haney said that he will go back to 135. And he's the champion in recess, which means Devin Haney could come down to 135 and fight Shakur immediately, because he would get an opportunity for the belt right away. So that's also a possibility, and that would show that Devin Haney wanted to fight, or was willing to fight, or whatever, but just wanted to move up for whatever reason. Does it make logical sense? Because the whole thing is, the reason he's moving up and not fighting on 135 is because he can't really make the weight anymore and it's too uncomfortable. Why would he go back to 135? But that's a thing that has been put out there. That's something that Devin Haney has said that he's open to doing. But if he wins the WBC belt at 140, he will be stuck. He would have to literally vacate the belt, get stripped of the belt, so that him and Shakur Stevenson don't fight. He would have to get stripped of the belts for him and Shakur Stevenson not to fight, while still remaining at 140. Think about that. Because he can't go down, because then people will be like, well, why didn't you fight Shakur Stevenson at 135? Why are you going down away from Shakur Stevenson? And he can't go up because it's too high up. 147 is too high. Then you got these guys, they get taller, stronger, while still being technically sound. It's too much. Now you're dealing with a Boots at 147. So he's not going to go he can't go to 147. He can't go down to 135. He's gridlocked. It's either he fights Shakur and just bites the bullet, or he completely gets hammered on social media for clearly not wanting to fight Shakur Stevenson. Ryan said he's willing to fight whoever he has to just he has to just to get the Tank rematch. Yeah. So basically, he's gonna be campaigning for the Tank rematch, and Tank is not gonna give him a rematch. So what's gonna happen there? I mean, they might, right? It did a lot of money, so they might do it, but does it require a rematch? I don't think so. I don't think the fight requires a rematch. But hey, who knows, man? Money talks. Money talks more than logic, right? If something is logically doesn't make sense, but it makes a lot of money, we'll have Francis Ngannou fight Tyson Fury. No one knew what was going to happen in that fight, but logically it didn't make sense. Financially, it did make sense because even if nobody watched the pay-per-view, Saudi Arabia already paid for it in advance. They already paid the fighters in advance. They didn't even have to do pay-per-view for that fight to make money for the fighters. Because Saudi Arabia, they willing to throw money like in the air to create their sports thing that they're doing. All Haney got to do is say Shakur wants payday. I know that. Canelo has laid the blueprint. Oh, you said this twice, King of 47. Stop. Crawford should do the same. He should call Boots a horrible fighter. Boots just wants a payday. Nah. If anything, if you're going to stay at 147, then I think that Crawford should fight Boots. But he's probably going to move up to 154 because that's what Errol Spence wants to do. I don't understand. The same fans that want him to give Errol Spence the rematch and not at 147 want Boots to fight at 147. No, it wants Terrence Crawford to fight at 154 and then fight Boots at 147. I don't understand how that works. His next fight has to be Errol Spence. The Errol Spence fans want Terrence Crawford to move up to 154, not 147. They made it very clear because there was speculation that Terrence Crawford wanted it at 147. The fans were like, oh, look at him. Look what he's trying to do. He's trying to drain Spence or whatever. So they clearly wanted him at 154. He's going to move up to 154, but they also want him, the same fans that are fans of Errol Spence that want Terrence Crawford to fight Errol Spence at 154 also want Terrence Crawford to fight Boots at 147. How does that make sense? Are you asking for him to go up to 154, then come down to 147 and fight Boots? Is that what y'all asking him to do? I don't know, man. I don't know. It just be so confusing. I feel like sometimes the fandom overtakes logic. Like, oh, I like Boots. I like Spence. I want him to fight both of them. Okay, how? I don't know. He's at 147 right now. Yeah, but he's got to go up to 154 because you want him to go up to 154. So plus it's on the contract. He said he's saying that he'll do it. They're gonna go to 154. Yeah, but then come down back to 147. What are you talking about? Nobody does that. Nobody be doing that. Nobody just go up and then come down and like that's rare. That's rare. If you're gonna go up, you just gonna keep going up. That's normally what happens. Nobody be like, oh, I'm at 135. Now let me go back to 130. That's rare. Ali gave up everything with his bouts from damage. He is the ultimate legend. Yeah, no. People love Ali. But Shaw's 0311, they didn't like Ali back in the days. Back in the days, there was a lot of Ali haters. If there was social media, if there was Twitter back then, they would have been doing all this. Every time Ali was talking trash, all you would have seen was people going like, yo, Ali, humble yourself, man. Humble yourself. You talk too much trash, bro. They would have been putting memes up of him talking trash and all that. They would have done also, they would have called him a runner too. They would have called Ali a runner because he was always on the back foot hitting throwing that jab out. They would have called him a runner. They would have done memes showing him running and stuff. They would have edited videos of his fights where it only looks like he gets hit and he's just moving away from the fighter. They would have made sure to never show any of the punches he actually lands. And then they would have looked at the video that they edited and be like, yo, y'all talking like this dude is great. Look at this. Look at that. he would have been susceptible to all this stuff that's going on right now. And he would have been knocked out by Joe Frazier in the social media age. The memes would have been, it'll never stop. It would have never stopped. They didn't like him back then. They like him now because when the dust settles, when you get to the other side, when years pass and people are looking at fighters and they're comparing fighters to fighters from the past, and there's so much more energy and emotion attached to what's currently happening, it starts to chip away at the negative thoughts of the fighters from the past. And then fighters from the past, just there is all positive. Think about it. It's very rare that you hear negative things about fighters in the past. Sugar Ray Robinson, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler. Do you be hearing anything? And they all was fighting each other. Clearly, there were people that liked Marvin Hagler but didn't like Sugar Ray Leonard, or liked Sugar Ray Leonard but didn't like Marvin Hagler, or Tommy Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard, or Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler, or Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard. You could have mixed it around. There was people that didn't like these people. The same way as people that don't like Shakur and they like Tank, or they like Tank or they don't like Tank and they like Shakur. But over time, it's almost like everybody is seen through a positive lens. No matter what the sentiments were in the past, everyone is seen. Oh my God, why does my watch keep doing that? Like, what's going on? Do I have to take this off? Is this thing listening? Is everybody's being viewed in a positive lens? Look how people are looked at in the past. Pernell Whitaker, positive lens. Because it's easy, because it happened in the past. And because people are so emotionally attached to what's going on now, they start to chip away at the negativity of the fighters that they've had in the past. Because it basically infuses their whatever talking point that they have for the fighters now. There are people that didn't like Floyd Mayweather that are now saying stuff like, don't compare Shakur to Floyd Mayweather because Floyd never had a performance like that. But back then, all they could do is talk bad about Floyd Mayweather. And be like, he the most boring fighter I've ever seen in my life. He the worst fighter I've ever seen. Think about that. And that's what's happening now. Now, all of a sudden, oh no, he ain't nothing like Floyd. Oh no, he ain't nothing like this. He ain't nothing like that. So the reason I say that is because I want Shakur to just embrace being the villain. Just be the villain. Because over time, people will they're going to see it for what it was, for your talent. They're going to forget that they didn't like you and all this stuff because it's going to be chipped away little by little with the new boxing, the new fighters of the future. It'll chip away at you because then they'll be like, oh, this dude was nothing like Shakur. Don't ever compare this dude to Shakur, man. Look what this dude is doing. Look what Shakur did. And look at Shakur's copy buys numbers and his plus-minus record and all that stuff. That's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. But people don't want to hear that, right? Because right now, people don't like Shakur so much, right? People don't like Shakur so much. So if you say anything good about him, they get annoyed because they're trying to push a negative narrative about him. So you can't say nothing good. Once you say something good, is you a fanboy, da da da. But they not admitting that they fanboys of whoever they're fans of, which is creating their negative perception of Shakur Stevenson. Shakur should just simply completely embrace the villain role. Don't hang back. Don't stop talking on Twitter. Keep talking on Twitter. Keep being, keep bragging about your skills. Keep doing all this stuff because they're going to watch you anyways. They're going to watch you anyways. It's already been proven because we literally already went through this and you had less views in your Nakatila fight than the the fight that came after against Jamel Herring. All right, let's see what you guys got to say. Thoughts on Andre Ward? Andre Ward was one of my favorite fighters of all time. He's up there to me with Floyd Mayweather, with Sugar Ray Robinson, Pernell Whitaker. In terms of, I gotta be very clear, not who I think is the best of all time. In terms of my favorite fighters of all time, Andre Ward is up there. I started off Team Spence in 2018 and realized his fans just made excuses all the time, and AJ was basic. Do you think Manny Pacquiao would be Floyd Mayweather in his prime? He didn't beat him out of his prime, and Floyd was older, so I don't think he would. No, I think Manny Pacquiao. One thing that we could use as evidence, to circumstantial evidence, but evidence to see that if Manny Pacquiao had problems, was that he always was having problems with boxers, with good elite boxers, right? Juan Manuel Marquez, he always had problems with Juan Manuel Marquez, who was a counterpuncher. My man's never had a clean win on Marquez. The only clean win we ever saw was when Marquez actually knocked him out. And then you could also look at the Eric Morales fight. The first fight where he was outboxed by Eric Morales. So he had trouble with fighters who were boxers. I think that he probably would have had trouble with Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd Mayweather would also be younger and more athletic. So people forget. It's almost like people think that it's going to be Floyd that's 34, 35, 36 Floyd going up against, a Manny Pacquiao that's springy and young and prime, but Floyd is younger, but still the same Floyd when he's 36. That's not what's gonna happen. He's also gonna be springy, young, and in his prime. If Andre wins and Canelo still don't fight him, man, he better fight him. Canelo better fight him. Haney will start bringing guys up from 135 if he beats Prograis. I would love to see it. I would love to see all the guys go up. Everybody's already at 140. The only people that's not there is Lomachenko and Tank Davis. And Tank Davis floats between 140 and one. He floats between 140 and 135. So Spence fans equals Boots fans. Yeah. Which is why I'm saying, which one do you want? Do you want him to fight Boots at 147, or do you want him to fight Errol Spence at 154? It's almost like you're creating a lose-lose situation for him. Whichever one he decides, you're going to say he didn't do the other one. And they used to do this back in the days to Floyd all the time. If he fought Mosley and not Miguel Cotto, they were saying, oh, he's ducking Miguel Cotto. Because he's fighting Mosley. So it's like they wanted him to fight somebody. And when he finally fought Miguel Cotto, they had another B, A and a B person, and they just always kept Floyd with an A and B person. There was never like this one person that he needed to fight. There was always an A and B person. And if he fought person B, they said he ducked person A. If, for example, what was it? I think Maidana or Amir Khan, he decided to fight Maidana. So Amir Khan was the person that they said he ducked. There was always an A and B person, and that's the same thing that they're doing right now with Terrence Crawford. They're creating an A and B person, so no matter who he chooses, they could just say, "Oh, look how he didn't fight this guy." It's all, I'm telling you, man. Boxing communities is so I could see right through the BS very easily, because I've been a boxing fan for a long time. I used to be on YouTube with just my regular name back in 2007 when YouTube first came out, talking about boxing, and there would be like that, it would start building up where people would just be Manny Pacquiao fans attacking my channel. And I used to get like, back in 2007, I used to get like 10,000, 20,000 views talking about boxing with just like the first iPhone that ever came out, the iPhone 1, talking about boxing. And like no editing, no nothing, because you ain't need that back then, because you couldn't make money on YouTube. It was just for the passion. I used to talk trash, and people would, and I don't know if people remember this, old school people that have been on YouTube for a long time You could actually put a reply video under somebody's video. So like if somebody says something about, how Manny Pacquiao is going to win, and then I'm like, nah, Floyd is actually going to win, because that was the big hot topic back then. It was like Floyd Manny, because they never fought each other, so that was the big thing. You could just put a video reply to their video, and if they had this was the easiest hack back then, because there was no money to be made, so nobody was going hard. But if they had like 10,000 views and you did a reply video, sometimes you end up getting like 30,000 views, 20,000 views from your reply video, because it would be attached to their video right at the bottom. It was crazy. YouTube was crazy back in the days. But now you can't do that, because somebody will have a cajillion reply videos, but it'll be attached right to the bottom. So somebody could watch somebody's video, get their perspective, then click on the attached video, and then get the other person's perspective, the reply to that video. And I used to do that all the time. I was on YouTube like crazy back in 2007. So like I seen it come, I seen it get the whole fandom pockets on social media. I seen it get built from the ground up. So that's why I could see through it. I could tell, gaslighting over here, gaslighting over here. Oh, look what it. That's the group think over here. Oh, I could already predict what somebody's gonna say. If somebody likes a fighter, I could already predict the other fighters that they like. I could predict the fighters that they liked in the past. I could predict the fighters that they currently like. Like, it's very easy. I could see everything perfectly, because I already tell what groups of pockets that people are in when it comes to the fandom of boxing. Crawford has never defended an IBF belt at any weight. He doesn't like them. Well, IBF is the strictest one. It's the strictest one. And he never defended an IBF belt? He probably not, because if he won the IBF as the last belt that he won when he was at a different weight to become undisputed, then there would be no reason for him to defend an IBF belt. But does it really matter if he's defending an IBF belt or not? He was going to defend this IBF belt if they would have fought at 147, but they didn't. Bud to fight. They want Bud to fight Spence and Boots at the same time in the same damn ring. I heard a rumor that Vaquero Navarrete has gone to train on a farm chasing chickens in preparation for his fight with Shakur. I agree 100%. Hey, listen, Rocky Balboa thought that was a good strategy to learn how to move in the ring. They're trying to get Boots and Spence versus Bud handicap match, WWE style. They were saying Shakur's hand was hurt. Yeah, I know. I don't believe it. I personally don't believe it. I think Shakur was punch shy, same way he was fighting with Nakatani, or Nakatila. I'm sorry, not Nakatani, Nakatila. There's a certain level of a fighter that has power and some skill where he ends up doing that, and I've seen it with the Nakatila fight, and I've seen it with this one. I don't think that he was hurt. I just think that he didn't want to throw the punch. That's literally how I felt. But just to say, alter down the line, great fighters become legends. Yeah. Apparently, someone's on Shakur's payroll. Yeah, okay. Because I'm not saying the stuff that you want me to say, because you are against Shakur Stevenson. You want me to just be against Shakur Stevenson to prove that I'm unbiased. But really what you want me to do is be part of your bias so that you could feel that it's positively about my statements, and it makes you feel like I'm unbiased. But really that's not the case. Mayweather just makes the science sweet, but people love hard hits and action. Open the line and I'll debunk all your bias. Open what line? You could talk right here. Just say what you need to say, and then I could reply right here, and we could talk about it. Say what you want to say, what you think you want to say, and then I could reply right here, and we could talk. Two fighters is you want to comment: Emmanuel Augustus and Johnny Tapia. Just curious on your opinion. I always thought that Johnny Tapia was all right to me. I always thought that Emmanuel Augustus was really good, but he was unorthodox and he got punished so much for that. I didn't think the judges appreciated what he was doing. So he's probably one of the most short end of the stick fighters when it comes to judging, probably in the history of the sport, to be honest, from my perspective, from what I've seen. He has a horrible record, but a lot of those fights, he could have won them. Like, it could have been that it was him that won, but they just wasn't respecting all the stuff that he was doing. I thought it was good marketing, right? Fighting that way is good marketing. Kind of like when Roy Jones would fight, the way he would fight, that was good marketing. Like, people wanted to see, somebody playing around in there and doing, having fun and whatever. And that's a form of marketing while being in the fight. But some judges, they're more old-fashioned. They didn't like it. Before the Floyd era, nobody had this superiority complex with outside fighters. All the sweet science nonsense is a gimmick and an excuse to not engage in a fight. What? Before the Floyd era, nobody had this superiority complex with outside fighters? All the sweet science nonsense is a gimmick. No, what do you mean? Hitting and not getting hit is not a gimmick. Constantly running and not performing well, that is not necessarily the sweet science, because it's hit and not get hit, right? So you want to hit as much as possible. Trust me, the angry casual fan, I'm with you on Shakur Stevenson having a bad performance. That performance that he had against De Los Santos, I do not approve. And I've said it multiple times. Said it on the live stream after the fight. Said it, in my video that I just dropped on Shakur Stevenson. I don't approve on his performance against Edwin De Los Santos. I think that he was fighting scared. He wasn't throwing the left. He wasn't throwing much. He was just edging him out in each round. I don't think he did what he's supposed to do, create separation. Once you get all the data, you need to start creating separation, which comes with a little bit of calculated risk. But he took zero calculated risk. He just created a force field that Edwin De Los Santos was not going to be able to break through. So I agree with you, 100%. I agree. They want to pretend one style of fighting is superior to all the others just to sell their boring fights. I'm not buying the gimmick. Oh, nah. It all depends on who's doing the fighting, right? It all depends on who's doing the fighting. If somebody is aggressive and talented, right, like a Roberto Duran, you could push through somebody who's skillful in boxing and in the sense of, like, you have to be skillful and aggressive and use it in reverse, right? Use your ability to see what somebody's going to do, to read your opponents, to time your opponents, to get their rhythm, their flow and everything, but use it in reverse. As opposed to using it to defend, you use it to engage, and then you could pull it off. But when we look at certain situations, even Roberto Duran, for example, when put up against somebody who's using it in the sense of defense first and being a boxer and being an outside boxer, it tends to win out. Because you open yourself up for more counterpunch opportunities if you're the aggressive fighter. So it's just because of the meta of fighting. The more punches you throw, no matter how calculated everything is, the more punches you throw. Oh, we got a new member. Hold on. We got Shaw's 031 just became a member. Thank you so much, brother. We got to give you the member. Gotta give you the member video. Thank you, Shaw's. Thank you very much. You have to think of the meta of it, right? If you're aggressive, a boxer, a super elite boxer. Now you got the emote, the boxer Fanatico emote. A super aggressive boxer is constantly punching, while a super defensive counterpuncher is counterpunching. So one falls into the other, as opposed to if a person was aggressive and this person was aggressive, they complement each other. A person who's aggressive also wants you to be aggressive because that's what's going to work best for their style. A person who's aggressive doesn't really want you to counterpunch. Just think about the meta of fighting in and of itself. You might think, oh, like it's a video game, like anything can happen, or in a video game there's always a meta or whatever, but real life is real life. No, there are things that just work better in real life versus something else. There are aggressive fighters like Marvin Hagler, who were smart with what they did, who used timing and stuff. But when you put a boxer who's just as smart and fights on the back foot, they tend to win out just from the meta of what that does. You're aggressive. They want you to be aggressive. So they're going to make you miss and they're going to make you pay. You're falling into what they want you to do. If De Los Santos was just going ham on Shakur Stevenson, it would have been Shakur Stevenson probably beating him up. But De Los Santos was not punching to not give that to Shakur Stevenson, but Shakur Stevenson was just tagging him in spurts. So we ended up getting CompuBox numbers where De Los Santos only landed 40 punches in the entire fight. You got to make it where we can call in for that. I can't do that, bro, because there's a lot of things that can't be talked about. My channel is not a channel that's going to have, people just cursing and all that stuff, because I keep that under control. We try to keep it PG 13, maybe PG 13 over here, right? There's a lot of things that I can't control if somebody calls in and they just want to go crazy. Then we got to deal with people calling in, doing prank calls and stuff like that. Not trying to deal with that. Anything you want to say, if I deem it something that I could click on, because people going to want to say stuff about things that I work for, right? I work for the Steel City Interactive. People going to want to call in and say stuff like that. We can't have the lines open for all these people like that. So that's just a recipe for disaster, unfortunately. If people were more able to control and the internet wasn't full of trolls, we could have done it. But there's an alternative. Just say it right here, and I love to debate. So if I see something that's debatable, if I see something that somebody's trying to debate on purpose, I'm going to engage with it. I wish I knew that they were only going to call to try to debate my points. That would be beautiful. I would allow that and we could go back and forth all day. But that's just not the internet is just not that clean. So unfortunately, we need them to put it all over here. And then when they put it over here, then we go ahead and we could talk about it. I never back away from a debate. If anybody want to challenge my points, if they doing, I go low. I take my live streams past the time. Right now we at 8:12 because I want this dude, whatever his name is, Nelson Sanchez, to bring up whatever topics or whatever reason he thinks is a counter reason to what I'm saying. Because everything I say is I don't wing it. It's constructed, written down. I do a lot of pondering and thinking about what I'm going to talk about before I even say it. And I have a lot of things to say that's connected to it that I don't even say, just in case somebody thinks that they have it all figured out and they want to debate me. Because I love debating. That's my favorite thing. Especially in boxing. That's my favorite thing. So that's the only reason it's 8:13 and I'm still here, because I'm waiting for this dude to say something so we can actually debate. That's because only one guy can be passive, or else there will be no fight. When you get two passive fighters, you get Shakur versus De Los Santos. But that's my point. So you're saying it for me right now, angry casual fan. You're saying it for me right now. That's what makes the meta is counterpunching, and the defensive style, the back foot style, ends up winning out against an aggressive style because it's tailor-made for an aggressive style. While an aggressive style would require another aggressive style for the person who's aggressive to come out on top. One thing that I always said was Manny Pacquiao was one of the best bully fighters of all time. There was probably no one who could out-bully Manny Pacquiao. And we've learned that because he went up 7 divisions and he fought a bully fighter in Antonio Margarito. And Antonio Margarito, being so much bigger than him, could not out-bully Manny Pacquiao. You could outbox Manny Pacquiao. If you were an elite boxer, you could outbox Manny Pacquiao. But you can't out-bully Manny Pacquiao. And because you can't outbully Manny Pacquiao, basically, if you fought as an aggressive fighter, Manny was probably one of the best aggressive fighters of all time, and he was going to outbully you no matter what. Miguel Cotto, Margarito, no matter who you were, he was going to outbully you. Sometimes people get mad when I say Manny was one of the best bully fighters of all time. They get mad. Oh, you trying to simplify him. That was his style. It doesn't mean that he's brain dead in there. It doesn't mean that he's not doing anything at all to try to, be smart. He is being smart. He's creating angles. He's timing you. He's reading you. He's doing stuff. He's doing a lot of stuff, but he's doing it in reverse and using it to be offensive. But that plays into the hands of a counterpuncher. It will always play into the hands of a counterpuncher because that's what a counterpuncher needs. He needs you to be aggressive so that they can counter. You're right. Didn't even think about that. Yeah, man. I wish the internet was just like straightforward. Where I knew for a fact, boom, this person's gonna call in and this person's gonna talk specifically about trying to debate me for this topic. But that's just not the truth about social media. People will use that as a loophole to try to damage your channel, to try to do all these different things. And that's not what I'm gonna have. I control my channel. I'm not gonna have somebody call in and try to do something to damage anything. So no, unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. If you want to say it here and it's something egregious, well, it's gonna get deleted. If you want to say it here and you're debating me, we're gonna talk about it. I gravitate towards the debate stuff. I love the positive stuff, because I love the support, but I gravitate. And anybody who's been in my lives know I gravitate towards the debate stuff. That's my favorite thing. The debates is my favorite thing. If every single fighter fought on the back foot to have an advantage, boxing wouldn't exist. True. I hear what you're saying, but listen, that's just how it works, man. Like I don't make it. It's like watching, Fight Night Champion and somebody hits once and then they're moving away and everybody's moving away and just tagging once is a boring fight to watch, but they're fighting within the meta. And if one person was just full blown aggressive, the other person would be countering all day and they would get the advantage. Because that's just that's just the meta of fighting in real life. Fighting in real life, if you are a good defensive fighter versus a good aggressive fighter, the good defensive fighter can win out against a good aggressive fighter. The good aggressive fighter will have to be better than the defensive fighter is in his defense for it to work. It's not that it can't work, but if you have the same level of skill in being defensive and same level of skill being aggressive, the defensive fighter will win. Because the meta is baked into the meta. He needs you to be aggressive, but you prefer for him to be aggressive for your style to work. And he's not. He's countering your style. Debating and boxing. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Got any opinions on Richard Torres Jr.? I think Richard Torres Jr. is going to be the next great, or next, let's not say great, maybe that's too far forward, the next best heavyweight. I truly believe that. And I've had debates with people on Twitter about this, but I think Richard Torres is not easy, guys. It's not easy to medal at the Olympics. It is not easy. And Richard Torres, not only did he medal, he won the silver medal at the Olympics. We haven't had a heavyweight American win the silver medal in years. And he didn't fight at the lower heavyweight division, in the light heavyweight division. No, he fought in the heavyweight division. There's two tiers in the Olympics where there's a lighter version of the heavyweight and then there's a heavier version. He fought in the full-blown heavy version and got the silver medal. And he's knocking people out and all that stuff. I'm telling you, man, Richard Torres Jr., if y'all don't think that he's a big deal, he's going to be a big deal very soon. He's going to be a big deal very soon. If fighting on the outside is superior to all styles, then we would be hoping for two guys to run circles around each other without throwing punches. No, a style that's superior to another style does not mean that it is a fan-friendly style. That's not. It's like somebody that spams a punch that always works in UFC, EA UFC, or in Fight Night Champion, right? Or in any boxing video game or MMA game. If you're spamming a thing that always works, that's not fun to watch. Nobody's enjoying that. You're just doing one thing over and over and over again, but it works. And you get the victory. Getting the victory is not the same as something that people want to watch. It's not the same. It could be exciting depending on the circumstances. If somebody's super aggressive and the counterpuncher is being very, very skilled at evading and hitting their opponent, it could still look entertaining to see them do that. It could still look entertaining to see them do that. Like when Floyd Mayweather was doing that to Arturo Gatti. It was very entertaining. Right? It could still be entertaining to see it happen when somebody is being defensive and they're outsmarting another fighter. So it's not that it's not one size fits all in terms of, oh, just back foot fighting is automatically boring. It isn't, but also don't confuse fans' excitement or entertainment for what's most effective in the ring. That's why sometimes these guys just prefer sparring. Sparring is more fun than actually fighting because fighting is so much more involved to it. But in sparring, it's just who's the smarter guy. Like the fight with Shakur versus De Los Santos in a sparring session, it would have been like perfect for them. Like, oh, I just outsmarted you. It would have been a perfect situation. And it would have made sense. And everybody involved would have been like, all right, yeah, you got it or whatever. You outsmarted him and it would have been fine. But because he has to perform at the same time, it creates a different situation. It creates a negative situation that he's dealing with right now. That's my point, Fanatico. These guys act like that any fighter that doesn't fight like Shakur or Floyd is dumb brawler. But I don't believe that any fighter that doesn't fight like Shakur or Floyd is a dumb brawler. I don't believe that. Like, I don't think Marvin Hagler is a dumb brawler. I don't believe Manny Pacquiao is a dumb brawler. I think that they are smart in what they do and how they do it, but I do believe that anybody who's elite at being aggressive versus somebody who's elite at being on the back foot, the elite being on the back foot fighter, because of just the meta of how it works out, they want you to throw punches, you're going to throw punches, and you don't want them to counterpunch. You would prefer for them to fight you. They're going to win out. They're going to win out. But there are some people that are so good at being like a bully fighter that they overwhelm even good. Like an elite bully fighter will overwhelm a really good defensive fighter. It has to be a defensive fighter that's at the eliteness of his defensive fighting versus somebody who's aggressive, who's equally elite, but with their aggressive fighting. And then it will win out. It's just like any game. Like somebody could spam something, but if they're not super good at spamming something, somebody who's really good will still figure out a way to beat that person who's using the thing that should more than likely give them the win, because it's a very specific thing that helps you get the win. It's a thing that you're repeating over and over again. But because you're really good, you're so much better than this guy, you're going to still find a way to circumvent this person trying to use that spamming tactic. So just think about it in that way. Inoue would give Shakur work. His style beats those. Inoue is another, he's somewhat of a counter puncher, but he's an aggressive fighter. And he figures out ways to be the better bully. He figures out ways to be the better bully. And he figures out he might be so elite in his bulliness that if you a technical fighter, he's going to overwhelm you because he has technical abilities, but he uses it in reverse to be aggressive. So he's actually a really good example of that. Anyways, it doesn't look like this dude is going to come in here to try to write anything for me to debate. So we're gonna go ahead and end it right here at 8:24. Hopefully you guys come back on Wednesday, of course, because we are live every Mondays, every Wednesdays, every Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time, where we talk all things boxing, whatever is the hot topic for that day, we talk about it. Today, the hot topic was Shakur Stevenson. Should he get off of Twitter? To summarize it, I believe he should lean into being the villain, stay on Twitter, keep getting people annoyed. We've already seen it in the past. You fought Nakatila, boring fight. Everybody was memeing you about how you put them to sleep, but then they watched your next fight even more. When you fought Jamel Herring, you took the Nakatila fight from 870,000 average views to 1.4 million average views when you fought Jamel Herring. So clearly, you're doing something right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end it there. Let me see. Most fans say you can't box if you don't have a certain style, but I hear you. No, I know what you're talking about, Angry. They're trying to look for, but that's when they simplify it in their minds, right? They're trying to look for, like, people think that Inoue can't box. Like, he doesn't have skills. He has skills. Inoue has insane amount of skills. He just uses it in reverse. But to a lot of people, if you're not slipping punches and, rolling punches and moving on your back foot and side pedaling and doing all that stuff, to them, you can't box. But that's because they're simplifying it. They're simplifying it. But I do also believe that a person who is a counterpuncher versus an aggressive fighter, if they were both at the same level of skill in terms of what they do individually, that because of how it works, the defensive fighter will win out. Shakur needs to learn how to counterpunch against power punchers. All the greats are counterpunchers. Shakur is afraid of getting hit. I do agree with that. I do agree that Shakur needs to definitely learn how to fight in a way where he could create separation against power punchers. I do think that he could find a way to beat them, but he doesn't create enough separation. The same thing what he did with Nakatila. He doesn't create enough separation. So he needs to find a way to do it and be brave enough. The thing is, you have to take calculated risks. He likes to create a force field where nothing could happen. He doesn't want to get rocked or anything. He needs to stop worrying about getting rocked and caring so much about that and understand that it could happen. And once you collect all that data, you have to engage to create that separation, and hopefully you don't get rocked, but you have to be okay with the possibility. Once you're okay with the possibility, then you could be more offensive. But I think he doesn't even want anything to happen to him. I think he wants to come out super clean cut from the fight because he built this kind of persona of this is the type of person I am. But, bro, the best get rocked, bro. Floyd Mayweather got rocked by Shane Mosley. Everybody praises Floyd for that fight. He gets praised for that fight because when he got rocked, he came back and beat Mosley up for the remainder of the rounds. And that happened in round 2. There's barely any memes showing that. Have you noticed there's barely memes of Shane Mosley rocking Floyd? Because everyone knows that it's a waste of time, because if you post it, anybody who knows anything about that fight will just belittle you and say, bro, he did that in round 2 and then Floyd completely destroyed him. So you barely see out there floating when people are trying to make fun of Floyd, the fight with Shane Mosley rocking him. You barely see that. I don't think I really ever seen it out there. What I see is more like Floyd hugging Manny Pacquiao as a meme against Floyd. Rarely do I see, even though that's more polarizing, his legs was wobbly and everything, rarely do I see that as a meme. Because, anybody knows they post that, it's just a matter of time before somebody says, bro, he won that fight and he completely destroyed him after that punch, after in the next round moving forward. Yeah, that's true. He just takes 2 steps back. He wants to look like the greatest defensive fighter of all time, since that's how he's advertising himself, so he doesn't even risk punching in between power. Exactly. He doesn't even risk getting caught, which is not saying go in there blind. you got to go in there thinking about, oh, okay, like you got to get the tendencies, get the rhythm, get the flow, when they like to engage, when they like to disengage, when they like to reset, what they like to do, how they react to your feints. Get all the data possible and then take calculated risks. And you'll get rocked maybe once or twice in your career. But if you do it well, there'll be very seldom moments that happen like that. Like Floyd, there was very seldom moments that happened where Floyd was getting like clocked because he always took calculated risks. Anyways, let's go ahead and end the stream there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Of course, as I said, we will be back Wednesday and Friday. So it's every Mondays, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hit the like button on your way out, guys, if you haven't, and also hit the subscribe button, hit the all notification bell so that you are notified whenever we go live. All right, until the next one, guys, peace out, and I will see you on Wednesday.